been ready for?
Is that the end sheet? Is that the end?
It certainly is. I think it's unacceptable, that performance. You know, I've been here 7 years. You know, I've gone through all the trials and tribulations of, you know, the club over the period, you know, COVID. You know, I was really fortunate to start with Ufi my first year. I learnt a lot off him. We almost won the competition that year if it wasn't for COVID. We were away, we came back. I was fortunate that the club gave me, you know, an opportunity to showcase my talents, and did significantly well in the first year. And, you know, we had a lot of struggles last year, tried to rebuild this year. And I've been really proud what the coaching staff, all the coaching staffs that I've had over the last couple of years, and what we've been able to do, even with the strategy of the club. You know, last year was tough for the fans. I think, you know, even losing 6-1 in that Auckland derby, that hurt a lot. You know, largely, I remember that game. I was trying to do a lot of things, wearing a lot of hats, trying to get the team back to scratch. You know, there was a lot of issues, and that was excusable then. But to lose 5-0 at home, you know, with, you know, the season still to play for, is unacceptable. And I take full responsibility. You know, so I've told the club, I go, look, tendered my resignation, and, you know, I think, you know, it's easier for someone to come in and just with new energy and refocus the group.
What went wrong today? Was it as simple as the goalkeeper?
I think it was clearly evident what was wrong today. I think that we conceded 3 absolutely sloppy goals, but I think it was just more the mentality shift in that, you know, once we conceded that first one, I think we got quite rattled very easily. And I think that's probably, you know, it's probably something that's symbolic of the team this season. It's just that in big moments, you know, there's big, you know, big errors that are costing us, and, you know, that could be down to inexperience, that could be down to the younger players, that could also be down to the senior players just not fully focused. And, you know, that really comes down on me at the end of the day. You know, I do all the training, I provide the environment, and, you know, like even today, irrespective if Joshy made some errors on the in goal, it was me that picked him, you know, so that ultimately falls with me.
What was that discussion like with half-time?
What was the discussion like? There wasn't a discussion. I went in, basically, like, lost my shit, to be fair. You know, I told everyone that was unacceptable. Like, I didn't think they understand the context and the gravity of the game. And I just simply said to them at halftime, I go, you're playing for the badge now. That's all you're playing for is honour. We're not going to claw back a 4-goal lead, doesn't matter how good we are. And I wanted to see something, you know. And in fairness, the boys, you know, they battled in the second half, but the game was already gone.
Did he come back out for the second half?
I'm not sure. Not sure.
Yeah, sorry, you sort of surprised me.
Really? Surprised myself.
Yeah. Was this, did you plan on doing this if it was going to
No. Do you think I plan to resign after a game like this? The worst thing to do is to lose to these guys. You know, like, I'm not a big fan of the club, you know, Auckland. Don't like the way they do things, but, you know, like, it's just, you can't lose to rivals like that. It's unacceptable anywhere in the world. You know, if Sampdoria played Genova tomorrow and Sampdoria lost 5-0, I'd want the coach out straight away. I'm a massive Sampdoria fan. Irrespective of what excuse you can throw, it's just unacceptable. So I think in the interest of the club now, it's better that they bring in someone with a bit more energy that can redirect the group and maybe refocus and keep the season alive. Sure. I reckon I might get my sleep patterns back. You know, I haven't slept properly in 3 years, mate. Look, it's never a consideration, Rush. You know, like, I actually think there's only been one game where we've been really outplayed. That was victory away from home. Yeah, you know, like, even in that game, we had some big chances earlier that, you know, could have gone ahead and capitalised. But I think for a large part, you know, every game this year we've been doing really well. You know, it's just the consistency, and again, you know, I think we've conceded a lot of goals this season, And it's just in moments where we're at our most vulnerable, when we're on top, and we're not capitalising on those chances. And kind of still, every week I'm of the belief that it's going to turn for us, like even last week, 2-0 down. First game against Perth, we're 2-0 down. We come back. We should have probably won that game. We had so many games this season where we should have won and we didn't. But again, for me, if I was a fan, I would expect us to be a little bit more competitive with that many chances and that many, that controlling games, and I'd be disappointed. But I can't fault the playing group. They're a good bunch of lads, just a little bit low on confidence at the moment, and especially after today, they'll be down a little bit. But again, I think it's really important that someone comes in now, good energy, can realign them, maybe even from a tactical point, whether it be a defensive structure that changes their mindset, they can still salvage the season.
You look back on a number of years ago now when you came on board as an analyst.
Yes.
A few years ago when you were an active coach.
Yeah.
Do you feel like over that journey you really put the club in a better place than when you joined?
Definitely. No one speaks about behind the scenes and the restructure and everything that's happened. There's a lot of things that aren't said that come into my planning and the way I look at things and the outlook. I'm a big believer in developing young players, and I think no one in the A-League at the moment takes my record in terms of giving, young players an opportunity. We've had record transfers under, me being a head coach. I like to think we have a nice playing style, maybe not consistent, but I think, we've shown, especially in that first year, when we're on, and we can play some of the best football in the league. There's been a lot of things that I've been very proud of, and also been part of previously, like with UFE. It was one of the greatest moments, in terms of me and my self-development. But again, this is football. I think that when you try your best, you're doing everything you can, and it's not working. I think a change is probably the best thing. I give 100%. Trust me. I don't sleep most of the time. I strategize all the time. I'm always thinking about the players, their welfare, making sure that we get the best out of them. There's some really good kids. Like, I said the other day, I thought Rami Nazarene was top kid. I was so glad to bring him in, reminded me a little bit like of Ben Old a couple of years ago, Carlo Almiento. We got, I think, the best out of those players. But, this is football, like you lose games, you have to be accountable. I think any coach understands that when he comes into the role. So for me, it's better to leave, my head held high, apologise to the fans for the result today. It was unacceptable. Didn't think that would ever happen. But I have a lot of respect for the club. I feel like, if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be in this position. So I can't look unfavourably, and yeah, that's really it.
Just last for me, it's quite an unlikely story for you to not hear, I suppose. Obviously, you think the way you want to be one pro footballer. You did the law degree.
Yeah.
You ended up as the head coach for a pro team
Yeah.
for 3 years. How proud are you of the journey that you've been through that?
Yeah, mate, even I pinch myself now, if I told you 7 years ago I'd be resigning in a derby as a head coach for A-League, I'd be saying mad, Yeah, I'm immensely proud of myself. I've made a lot of, I've knocked, I've defeated a lot of my self-perception that probably wasn't favourable, and I've done things that I think wouldn't be possible. But for me, I can look at this two ways. If I'm a pessimist, it's all right, we're done. It's harsh. But the optimist in me thinks that whichever club gives me an opportunity next, they're going to have a good coach, and I'll be, back bigger and stronger.
Do you feel like the team looks at players here to make the playoffs? Do you think what's
Do I think that we have the team to make the playoffs? I actually think we have the team that can win the comp. The only issue that I think remains in the group psyche is the self-belief that they can do it. And I spend 24/7 on that, trying to get them to jump over that hurdle. You know, you see it in moments in games, but some really good players here. Like Alex Rufo on his day can be the best six in the league. He just has to do it every game. You know, Eze's for me, if he gets enough service, is the best striker in the league. There's a lot of good positives, a lot of good players. There's a lot going for the team. Again, they just need a little bit of time, a little bit of consistency.
Do you think there's sort of like this mental block now with the derbies? You know, as soon as the team goes behind, it just fell off in terms of the pitch related. But you know, Auckland have just got so much over this.
Yeah.
Derbies,
Honestly, I think it started in the first derby. You know, the way we lost that game was, you know, unacceptable. And I think until the club, you know, wins one, it's going to be an issue until that moment. So maybe, you know, the fact that you make them more than what they are, you know, is an issue. But again, you know, you can't account for what happened today, for example, like with the first goal. If you told me that was going to happen, you know, I would have said it was mad. And then, you know, you're a player, you're on the pitch, that can throw you off. So up until that, I actually didn't think Auckland had any chances. I don't think they even entered our box once. And that can really, you know, knock you back. So, you know, it is what it is. Club will be bigger and stronger in years to come. You know, it's going down a really good route in like its long-term vision. And they will beat Auckland eventually and then get a roll on, hopefully.
With regards to Josh, obviously he'd been out for a while, but you know, he'd been superb this season up until his injury.
Yeah.
But taking your head off with confidence that, you know, he would just come back in.
Yeah.
Was it just a case of as soon as we were going wrong, he just sort of lost his head?
It's like normal. How would you feel in that moment? You know, you make an error like that in a derby, your reaction too would be, you know, you're trying to, as much as you like to say refocus, he's a human being, you know, like he has feelings, you know, and it probably took him a bit of time, and, you know, he's probably in his head. And to be fair, I only took him off for his own protection at half-time. It had nothing to do with the fact that he made the mistakes. I just wanted to make sure that, you know, I just didn't feel like he, you know, bounced back the way he should have, you know. And to be fair, the week before, the reason why I made the call with Joshy was because I wanted to protect Albie as well from last week. So, you know, these things happen, you know, both good keepers, and, you know, we'll be strong in the future. What happens? I'll probably get drunk tonight and enjoy a little bit of time to myself. Spend some time with my dog, go for nice walks, and honestly, just I'll probably start reflecting in a couple of weeks. I'll start, you know, I'll obviously have to say goodbye to a lot of people. You know, I'll probably move back to Sydney now and just look for my next, you know, opportunity. But, you know, the good thing is, you know, still alive, and, you know, when one door closes, the next one opens. So I'm looking forward to that part of my career. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, boss.